welcome back to my G1 Retro Reviews. Today, we're taking a look at the original Transformers series episode, Atlantis Arrive, which, if I recall correctly, is one of the worst episodes in the series, at least from what I remember. I'm writing this portion of the review before I've actually watched the episode, but I remember not liking this episode for some reason. Maybe it's the weird, ugly fish people. Maybe it's the fact that Atlantis apparently exists in Transformers. Whatever the reason is, I guess we'll find out soon enough. In this episode, the Decepticons team up with these ugly, bottom-feeding frog creatures, and they try to take over Washington, D.C. Wait, why does this sound familiar? This episode begins with Laserbeak and Buzzsaw! Yay! Remember how in my City of Steel review, I said I wish that Buzzsaw got more screen time? Well, here he is. Also, while I like that Megatron praises Buzzsaw and Laserbeak...
Your cassette vultures have done well, Soundwave!
Did he say cassette vultures? It's not exactly clear, but Laserbeak and Buzzsaw are actually supposed to be condors, not vultures. So, the Decepticons discovered the lost city of Atlantis? Wait, how is there fire underwater?
Hey, if we're underwater, how could there be a...
No, come on, that one's possible, right? It has to be. It's just a fire. Underwater, what's wrong with that?
Starscream, wait!
Waiting is for timid zap mice!
Zap mice? So they have electric mice on Cybertron? Like Pikachu? Does that mean Pikachu is actually from Cybertron? Also, timid is a nature that Pokemon can have, so maybe.
His mental power is great.
But not as great as my firepower! Ah!
Poor Starscream. He's already lost twice, and this episode has only just started. So we meet the Sub-Atlanteans, and there's already 3 things that I don't like about them. 1, they're not hot like other mer people like the Little Mermaid or Aquaman. 2, they have these weird metal diapers. Seriously, it's really weird how they just have like these little metal panties, shoulder pads, wristbands, helmets that only cover the back and top of their heads, and then nothing else. I think they should have been wearing some kind of wetsuit or something underneath all this stuff. And 3, I hate their weird echoey chipmunk telepathy speak.
Scrambled the message.
Well, it's not really scrambled if you listen closely.
Then unscramble it.
Alright, no problem, Starscream.
Never mind. Put your weapons away. We don't want to put them on guard.
So apparently the underwater fire is some form of energy. Just energy. And of course, if there's one thing the Decepticons are always after, it's energy.
Then we will remain here too, long enough to take it from you.
Did you really mean to say that out loud, Megatron? Pretty sure they can hear you. We then cut to Spike and the Autobots playing football with the Dinobots, which seems like a very bad idea. I mean, they're the Dinobots, and Spike is a squishy human. We even see Grimlock almost bite Spike's arm. Bad Grimlock, no biting. Also, how is little itty-bitty Bumblebee holding back big old Grimlock at all?
I need volunteers to check it out.
It's gotta be safer than playing football with Dinobots.
Tell me about it.
That's what I was saying. I like how in this episode, we get to hear Wheeljack do his sea spray impression.
Okay, guys, go under!
So apparently Bumblebee had a rebreather and Speedo inside himself because when we see Spike exit him, that's what he's wearing.
Oh my.
I like how Wheeljack pulls an Ultra Magnus from Transformers the movie, blasting the underwater cave entrance closed and sacrificing himself. Also, I wonder if any of Ariel's treasures are in there.
What was that communique?
take no aggressive action, and they suspect.
What was that communique? Oh, a warning to my guards to watch the prisoner.
That's true, Soundwave.
Take the Autobot to my laboratory. We'll use him to develop weapons against his comrades and against our Decepticon allies.
Actually, as I just demonstrated, that is not what he just said. So the Decepticons and the Sub-Atlanteans take their floating fortress to Washington, D.C.? Really? They're not going to go for a more coastal city like New York? Well, I guess they already did New York in this series. So the Decepticons and Sub-Atlanteans, or Sub-Atlanticans as Optimus Prime calls them, so I guess they're actually Sub-Atlanticans. Also, if they're Sub-Atlanticans, does that mean they're also just plain Atlanticans? Anyways, so they attack DC, which, again, kind of weirdly parallels certain recent events.
Double the danger, double the dimwits.
That's putting it lightly, Hound. Oh, you were referring to the Decepticons and the Sub-Atlanticans. Never mind.
Watch your aim, guys. We don't want to blow away any history.
He says as he takes cover behind the Washington Monument.
I don't really want to celebrate something that was built by slaves.
Oh, I'm sure the Washington Monument wasn't built by...
My magnetic dysfunction ray works perfectly. The Autobot is immobilized.
Wheeljack is immobilized again? That's kind of ironic, don't you think? Or is it appropriate? I'm never sure what the correct usage is. So, both of Chris Latta's characters end up immobilized. Or somewhat partially immobilized in Starscream's case as he... Wait, no, Starscream, you can't do that.
No! That could ruin Wheeljack's function circuitry.
And Bumblebee gives us his Steve Urkel impression.
Did I do that?
Did I do that?
So Wheeljack calls the Dinobots for help.
This is an SOS!
Hey, we already did that episode. It is then that we see G1 Megatron recreate the scene from Dark of the Moon. Or, I guess Dark of the Moon recreated this scene from G1. It is weird though how Lincoln is a separate piece from his chair. You'd think that this statue would be all one piece or something. It's also funny how carefully Megatron puts him down. You'd think that, him being a bad guy, he would just throw the statue and let it smash. But I guess he knows that this is a cartoon, and they're going to have to put it back at the end anyways. So the Dinobots arrive and absolutely dominate the Decepticons and Sub-Atlanticans. They retreat, but the Autobots pursue them.
Before I let those monsters destroy my city, I'll use the energy stockpiles and blow Sub-Atlantica and everyone on it to nothingness.
Okay, now I know who this fish face reminds me of. And so the episode ends with Sub-Atlantica destroyed and sunk to the bottom of the ocean. Overall, this wasn't as bad an episode as I thought. It was weird how this episode kind of predicted a couple things. And the animation in this episode is actually some of the best I've seen in this series. Too bad it's wasted on this episode. There are also some weird cuts in this episode. Weirder than the ones that I usually have to do in my videos to avoid copyright claims. But overall, not as horrible an episode as I remember. Well, what about you? What did you think of this episode of the original Transformers series? As always, let me know down in the comments. Remember to like, subscribe, and do all that other fun stuff. And I'll see you back here next time for the next episode of G1, Day of the Machines. So, I'll see you back here next week for that.